The reason I wanted to talk to you is because when you first made that video about your experiment with alcohol, I don't remember how many years ago, I thought it was fantastic. I was like, this is so good. And I'm someone who doesn't drink. I think it tastes like dirty foot water. Like, I just think it's gross. And I've
So you're not a dirty
tried.
Footwater fan, is what you're
I'm
saying.
not a dirty
Okay,
foot water fan.
fair,
Yeah,
fair.
I've never liked coffee. I've never liked tea, none of that stuff. Now, recently, I've kind of adopted tea and I like it now, but I have chocolate in it. So that makes a difference. So, when it comes to alcohol, which I know a lot of people like it, it's a part of a lot of people's lives, I was just really struggling to relate. I feel like that video was just perfect to be able to like intelligent, rational, educated people, and just take a look at, like, from a curiosity standpoint, what is
Sure.
this all about? What is my reason for doing this or not doing it? And so when we did Drier January this month, everybody could kind of pick their level of where they wanted to show up for the month. And one of the weeks I sent out your video and I got a lot of really positive feedback. And
Oh,
so
fun.
was like, okay, well, what's he doing now?
Yeah.
How did it land? So well, first, can you tell us who you are and then answer that question that's driving us all crazy?
Yeah, I'm happy to. I'm Brad Cooper, CEO for Catalyst Coaching 360 and the Catalyst Coaching Institute. We provide coaching for organizations around the country. My PhD focused on mental toughness and specifically the idea of functional mental toughness. So not the bite your lower lip and keep going, but what can anyone do to improve whatever they want to do as students, parents, leaders, athletes, et cetera. So a lot of our coaching also dips our toe into that high performance level as well. So I appreciate you asking. Alcohol for me, I did not drink until I was probably 28 years old. So that gives you a unique background or a stepping off point. I'll be 59 next month. And the video was made probably 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. And
Okay.
it was, as you described it, it was 30 days of I wonder. And I was probably in a routine. I didn't go back and look at the video, which I probably should have for this, but I was probably drinking a glass of wine with most dinners, maybe 4 or 5 nights a week, single glass. The weird thing about alcohol for me that may be different from other people is I don't ever get the buzz. So
Mm,
for me, I don't drink enough for that. And
hmm
so that's not a reward, which it may be for some people. So I'm not
hmm
giving that up when I give it up. I'm just giving up more than anything, the traditional combining. And I think in the video I talked about, it's a spaghetti night. Like, of course you have a red wine with spaghetti night. It's salmon night. How can you not have a Chardonnay with salmon? So I had made those connections in my brain of A requires B, C
hmm
requires D. And during that 30-day period, as I shared the first week or two, it was like, oh man, I really miss it. Your question was, where am I now? So we're
Yeah.
several years down the
Yeah.
road.
Yeah.
I'm all over the place. I am not against alcohol. I think we are reading a lot of research saying maybe we need to be a little bit less engaged in it than we have been in the
hmm
past, similar to how we've leaned into sleep a lot more in the last decade than we did prior to 7, 8 years ago. Um, so my personal approach now, and it was funny your timing because we're in January right now as we're recording this, but tomorrow's the last day. And I have not had a single drink in January, but that has not been because I participated in a group. It wasn't because I was doing a video. It wasn't because I had a goal to go January. I simply looked at alcohol and said, am I better tomorrow with it or am I better tomorrow without it? And which one is more important? So to me, there's a time and a place for not everything, but most things. The problem is it's not all the time and it's not all the places. And I think we get that mixed up. We're like, yeah, 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 a little alcohol doesn't hurt you. No, it doesn't. But let's be honest. Is it a little alcohol or is it
hmm
something else? And so I'm starting to train again a little bit more seriously. I'm running a little bit faster, and that's a bigger emphasis this coming year as I've joined this elite running team. And so I literally asked that question: is the trade-off worthwhile? And
Right.
that's the question. So I'm not going to stop drinking. there's a very good chance that I'll have a glass of wine sometime in the next few weeks when I'm out to dinner with Susanna, or we're having a special dinner at home or something. I mean, Valentine's Day is coming.
Right.
That's I'm almost positive I will be having a glass of wine with our dinner out that night. So again, time and a place for everything. It's not all the time, it's not all the place. And I simply ask myself the question, is it worth the trade-off? It's a
Right.
really simple question. Do I
Just like each time, like when you're
each
in the
time?
situation, you ask
Yeah,
that
yeah. So
question.
tonight,
Okay.
do I want a glass of wine tonight? Well, I want to get a really good effort in tomorrow. I'm not going to have time to make up for a slightly less effective sleep, because we know it's not debated anymore that alcohol affects our sleep. So sometimes that might be fine. Sometimes I might
Mhm.
say, yeah, that's okay. It's not a huge
Yeah.
deal. But what I'm finding for myself only, this is personalized, everybody, is for me, most of the time, it's just not worth it. And I'm
Right.
finding replacements. I think that's a big key too. There are
Oh,
so
tell me
many
more.
non-alcoholic, and I don't see it as foot water or whatever you described it as, but my son-in-law is like the beer guy. Like, he can tell me everything about every beer ever made, and it's pretty interesting. Like, he really knows his
Mhm.
stuff. I can't tell difference. You hand me anything and you say this is a beer, and I'm like, okay, it's a beer.
Mhm.
So for me, having a non-alcoholic gluten-free beer, my kids give me a hard time. They're like, wait, there's not gluten and there's not alcohol, but you're drinking a beer. Dad, I think
What
that's
is
called a
it?
sparkling water. And so it's okay. They can give me a hard time. That's how our family works. But I don't, it's nice to have those replacements. So if
Yeah.
we live here in Fort Collins, we cheer for our Colorado State University Rams, and
Wait,
it's
you've
fun.
moved?
We moved. Yes, we moved 3 years
Oh.
ago to Fort Collins.
Oh,
We are
okay.
loving Fort Collins. It is, oh, I can't say enough about it. But one of the things
Nice.
we've done is I've fallen in love with cheering for the football and basketball team. So if they're on the road and I'm watching one of the games, I'll pull out a gluten-free, non-alcoholic beer. But for me, that's all I need. For other
Yeah.
people, maybe not. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
been my approach. And then when we go out to eat, I've found a soda water with a lime.
Hmm.
Tastes good. It's great. So most of the time, I'm
Wow.
just like, yeah, I'll take club soda and a lime. Perfect. So it's something special. It's not like I'll have water, because that feels like a
Right.
disappointment. You're out to
Right.
eat, it's a
Right.
special night, and I'll have water. Really? But I'll have a club soda with a lime. Is not
Special.
that far off of I'll have a Merlot.
Right.
So
Right.
anyway, I don't know if that's helpful to anybody else, but that's
It's
kind of where I
so,
am in my head right now.
yeah. I mean, it's true you fashion. Like you just there's no real rules. You're not making it do or die or yes or no or good or
Right.
bad, right? That's not what it's about. It's about checking in with yourself, seeing
Yeah.
how you feel, what you want for your life, and then making
Right.
the decision that's best for you.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So,
Making the decision. I love the way you said that. It's conscious versus
mhm.
unconscious. I'm a big, and I know you've heard me say this ad nauseum, but I'm a big proponent of knowing the difference between autopilot, the stuff we're doing that we don't realize we're doing, and
Yes.
automation, putting good habits on autopilot purposefully. So I had 4 years ago made Merlot with steak, Chardonnay with salmon, Cabernet with spaghetti, an autopilot thing that was not purposeful. It was literally just autopilot. And so that was an easy one to begin shifting if I just tuned into how does it influence sleep, and how does it influence my workouts, and how does it influence my energy with my family, our grandkids now, my work setting, my time with Susanna. And sometimes it's a fine trade-off, because it's maybe a 10-15% impact. It's not 40, it's not 70,
Right.
but usually it's not. Usually I'm just as happy with the club soda after the order is placed. So it's
Mm.
just as the waiter or waitress comes, where it's
It's
like,
that moment
it's that moment.
that's
It's that
hardest.
critical moment. That's I talk a lot about in the functional mental toughness training about critical moments. And people don't tune into their critical moments. They just go with the flow in every aspect of their life. And when you start tuning into that's the critical moment,
Ooh.
boom, now I can do something with that. When I just flow right through it, you stay on autopilot.
Wow. Oh, that's so good. I just got goosebumps, that critical moment. Because if you can just know about it and be
Yeah,
watching for it, you can like skip right over it and move
yeah,
on, right?
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Well, it's really good to catch up with you. Good to see you're
Yeah.
doing so well.
Congrats on everything.
And yeah, thank you so much. And we'll stay in touch.